Okay, so we're going to be going over our Native Americans on the Plains assignment. So this was previously just in Canvas. So if you've already done it through there, that's okay. It's the same link. So just make sure you click on the link and take you to a screen. Fill out your email, your name, and your block. Then hit next. So, tribes of the Great Plains. They hunted the buffalo. Now, when we talk about the Great Plains, we're talking about this area in green. It's the geographical region that we learned about last year when we talked about the different regions in the United States. But it's also a very, the Native American tribes that live there have a particular type of culture. They're all different, but they all focus on the same thing, like same general idea. They all have a great importance on the buffalo. So, I'm going to use this map to answer our first question. Which of the following was not a Native American tribe on the Great Plain? Now, if you need to, click the three dots up here and zoom in so you can see a little bit better, but kind of just do process of elimination. Look to see where the Pawnee are, the Cheyenne, the Crow, and the Creek. Once you have your answer, click next. And don't copy the answer I'm picking because it might not be right. I need you guys to use your map skills and find which one is not in the Great Plains. So, culture and the buffalo. So, we're going to have 5 sources, 5 documents, 5 infographics, whatever you want to call them, that explain the culture of the tribes in the Great Plains. And I'll read them to you. The Great Plains. This culture group of Indians is well known for the importance of the buffalo, their religious ceremonies, and the use of the teepee. 4 important tribes in this culture include the Dakota, the Sioux, the Cheyenne, and the Comanche. The buffalo was the most important natural resource of the Great Plains. The Plains natives were hunters. They hunted many kinds of animals, but it was the buffalo which provided them with all of their basic needs: food, clothing, and shelter. So, source 2, a teepee, a mobile home used by Great Plains tribes that migrated with buffalo herds. And here you have 2 women. What they're doing is called tanning, and so it makes it so it basically the skin, the soft part under the fur, gets hard, and you can use it to make a teepee, make clothes, that sort of thing. Here we have an image of a teepee, an elder here, and a young person on a horse. Great Plains tribes originally gained access to horses as a result of Spanish colonization in the 1500s. Horses were used to hunt buffalo. Here we have an artist's depiction of Native Americans hunting buffalo on the plains. And here we have an infographic that explains the different parts of the buffalo that were used and what they used it for. So, tanned hide, that means they're going to skin it and it has skin on one side and fur on the other. They used it for moccasins, cradles, winter robes, shirts, leggings, belts, dresses, pipe bags, quivers, teepee covers, gun covers, dolls. They used the rawhide for containers, shields, buckets, moccasin soles, belts, headdresses, medicine bags, drums, ropes, saddles, stirrups, knife cases, quartz, armbands, bullet pouches. They used the horns for cups, spoons, ladles, headdresses. They used the brains for hide preparation, the skull at religious ceremonies, the tongue, which is a very tasty part of the meat. They used the beard, it was a weapon, ornaments for weapons. The hair, they used it for headdresses, saddle pad, filler, ropes, halters. They used the hooves for glue and rattles. They used the stomach for buckets, cups, dishes, cooking pots. They used the bones for knives, arrowheads, shovels, scrapers, winter sleds, saddle trees, war clubs, and game dice. They used the dung for fuel. They would burn it. They used the fat for soap and cooking oil, and the tail for decorations, fly brush, and whips. They used the muscles for sinew, meat, and meat for jerky. So according to the sources, what animal did many Great Plains tribes hunt for their survival? Horses, buffalo, beaver, turkey. What were 3 ways the Great Plains tribes used buffalo besides food? Reference this as you fill in your answer. According to the sources, which of the following best describes plain tribes? They were hunter-gatherers that lived in teepees. They were farmers that settled near fertile land. They relied on trade with Americans for survival. They built long houses and relied on the community for survival. So you're going to pick your answers and then hit next to go on to the next section. So the impact of westward expansion on Great Plains. Our first image is of American settlers riding in the back of the train, shooting buffalo, killing them, and leaving them to rot. We have another image of an American hunter standing on top of a pile of buffalo bones. So here we have a map that shows the extermination of the American bison to 1889. So our lightest pink range is going to be before colonization, before Europeans came over. By 1870, it was this middle shade of pink. And then 1889, you can only find buffalo in these small pockets. Now in 1800, there were 80 million buffalo. By 1880, so less than 100 years, there were 750 buffalo, down from 80 million to 750. By 1900, it was only 500. And around this time is when you start to see the first conservation and environmental movements. So the buffalo bison does start to gain traction. So in 1950, there's 5,000. And then by 2008, the population is back up to 350,000. But there used to be 80 million buffalo estimated to be here. So according to the sources, how did westward expansion impact the buffalo bison population? Native Americans hunted buffalo into near extinction. American settlers hunted buffalo into near extinction. The railroads caused most buffalo to be run over. The buffalo population died out due to disease. Let's look at these 2 pictures. Who are in these pictures killing buffalo? And how do you think a large number of buffalo deaths impacted Native American tribes on the Great Plains? So if their main source of food and their main natural resources gone, what is going to happen to them? Okay, you're going to select your answers and then move on to the next. So conflict on the Great Plains. So looking at our map, we have our little black dots are going to be Army outposts, and the red X's are going to be sites of conflict with the American Army and Native Americans. We have the Sand Creek Massacre of the Cheyenne tribe, an artist's depiction. Basically what happened is the Army went in, slaughtered everybody, mostly women and children. We have the Battle of Little Bighorn against the Lakota tribe in 1876. We have the Wounded Knee Massacre. Again, the Army just came in, killed everybody. And a timeline of Indian wars in the mid to late 1800s. We have the Sand Creek Massacre, Battle of Little Bighorn, Nez Perce, Geronimo led the Apaches in raids, the Wokova, the Ghost Dance of the Sioux, and then Wounded Knee in 1890. We have a quote from Sitting Bull that says, "Warriors are not what you think of as warriors. The warrior is not someone who fights, for no one has the right to take another life. The warrior for us is one who sacrifices himself for the good of others. His task is to take care of the elderly, the defenseless, those who cannot provide for themselves, and above all, the children, the future of humanity." So according to source 1, which of the following describes the conflict between Native Americans and the U.S.? There were few battles fought between mostly Native Americans and U.S. settlers. In Texas, there were several battles that took place east of the Mississippi. There were several battles near the Canadian borders. There were many battles fought throughout the West in the mid to late 1800s. According to the sources, who fought against American tribes in the West? So you're going to select your answers and move on. Okay. There is a link to a video that you'll watch on your own, and then you'll answer the questions. Which of the following was a cause for the U.S. government to want to remove the Sioux tribe from their land? Which of the following was the outcome of the battle between George Custer and the Sioux tribe at Little Bighorn River? What happens to the Sioux tribe later? What happened at Wounded Knee Creek? Watch the video and answer the questions. Now, here is a passage that explains the Minnesota bounty system. Basically, what happened was orders by the governor of Minnesota were given out that promised $25 for the scalp of any Dakota man that citizens, settlers of Minnesota killed and brought back to the governor's office. The idea is that civilian settlers were also involved in the warfare and conflict with Native Americans. It wasn't solely the U.S. Army. So based on the passage above, how do you think civilians interacted with Native Americans already on the land? So if the governor is telling civilians, those not in the army, to go kill and scalp Native Americans, how do you think they got along? Okay, and here we have a infographic about the diminishing Native American land loss from 1700s to 1800s. Here we have the Native American reservations after westward expansion. Some images from Fort Washakie, Wyoming Indian Reservation, Native Americans receiving food rations. Okay, so based on source one, what impact did westward expansion have on Native American land claims? How do you think that will impact the way of life of Native American tribes in the West? So they're losing land. How is this going to affect them? So looking at the map, which state had the most purple, which is going to be those Indian reservations? And according to source 3 and 4, which of the following describes the conditions of Native Americans in the 1800s? So answer those questions and hit next. And then we have American Indian Border Schools. You're going to watch the video and answer the question, what is your initial video reaction to watching the video? How did it make you feel? Then you can put your answer here and hit submit. And we're done with this assignment.